Video ended the radio star, Ariana ended the allegations with Eternal Sunshine, and Gen Z has ended the age of celebrity. Hey guys, so it's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back and we are talking about celebrity, and more specifically how Gen Z and the way that it consumes media has essentially changed the way that we view celebrity to the point where celebrity doesn't really mean what it used to anymore. I think many of us can look back to when we were younger and how celebrity used to be regarded as like this unattainable status of super cool and elusive people that were just kind of put on this pedestal where we really didn't have much access to them outside of the work that they gave us. And what we knew about these celebrities and public figures was very limited, very much giving like we knew what they wanted us to know for the most part. But as Gen Z has gotten older and wiser, and as social media has developed in the invention of influencers or content creators has continued and develop and push these people towards what would normally be seen as a sense of celebrity or fame, we've seen traditional celebrities come down from their distant and semi-untouchable status to take on some of the aspects of influencers. And we're gonna get more into what I mean by that later in this video. So in this video, I'm gonna be talking about celebrities and Gen Z's relationship with celebrity, as well as Gen Z's relationship with influencers, and how those three groups have interacted with each other over time to essentially shift the celebrity landscape to become this sort of authenticity and relatability culture for the sake of appealing to Gen Z audiences. And of course, we're gonna get into the pros and cons of that and how it could possibly be manipulative and oftentimes inauthentic, as well as getting into how this change in dynamic has created this sense of entitlement towards people that we know nothing about. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, sit back or grab a snack and keep on watching. And while you're at it, if you're new to the channel, then definitely subscribe, leave a like on this video, and follow me on my socials at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And consider hitting the join button to become a channel member to get 2 exclusive show review videos a month, as well as early access to every video that comes out on this channel. But let's get into talking about Gen Z, celebrities, and influencers. So as I talked about in the beginning of this video, celebrity has been something that has evolved over time and has traditionally been the status symbol of the elite, the popular, the most talented, and as a result, some of the most wealthy people. Celebrities have traditionally sold us a fantasy of this larger than life lifestyle that by and large is not relatable to the general public and is in many ways said to be a goal for a lot of people. And I feel like it's been like this since like the Gilded Age of celebrity, like going back to old Hollywood, and remained the case for quite a long time up until I want to say the early 2010s when we first started seeing a shift with the rise of influencers. And this new era of influencer ushered in a new era of stardom. For what felt like the first time ever, it was possible for everyday people to become super successful both monetarily, socially, and career-wise. We'd see different personalities arise from social media that were able to come up because people valued their authenticity, their realness, and the seemingly novel sense of parasocial relationship between the creator and their audience. That was so different from the traditional realm of celebrity, because I feel like, yes, people are diehard stans of celebrities, that is no question. But when it came to early era influencers, I feel like the parasocial bond between the two felt so much closer because you felt like you knew the person. People would constantly enjoy content from their faves who were directly talking to camera about any and everything and allowing people to peer into their everyday lives almost daily, to the point where it felt like these people weren't just influencers, weren't just creators, but were actually friends, like a long distance friend, because that's how it was built to be. And it feels a lot better and it's a lot easier to want to support and root for someone you see as a friend rather than someone that you see as an idol or someone that you put on a pedestal, which led to the exponential success of these creators to the point that they're able to make so much money and be able to get access to these exclusive highbrow events, working with reputable brands, collabing with and interacting in social circles that would normally be reserved for celebrity, as creators who just started off being everyday people who just happened to like recording themselves. So thus ushered in a new era where we'd see these internet personalities have these cult fan bases akin to that of a traditional celebrity, while also being in and around these same spaces that had been previously only occupied by celebrities. And with this success and seeing this formula and seeing how these parasocial relationships would play out over time, when it comes to Gen Z, I feel like our relationship with influencers has evolved and changed over time. Because while yes, in the early to late 2010s, there was this general obsession and idolization of these influencers, creators, and public figures, as time has moved on, that sort of blind parasocial support and relationship has sort of lessened over time. And I feel like that's really in part due to the shift in power dynamics between influencer and audience. As being an influencer, being a creator has become a really saturated career choice. I feel like we have more influencers or content creators nowadays than we have ever before. So influencers have become more abundant, and the shelf life of these said influencers have gone down drastically. Like if you think back to the OGs, or like the influencers that had made it a while ago, a lot of them are still in the game. And for the most part, you're able to name the prominent ones of that era because there weren't that many popular creators. Nowadays, there's such an abundance of creators that are prominent and popular, but I'd argue they may not be as impactful as their predecessors. Because I feel like it's very common to come across a profile online that could have like millions of followers, millions of subscribers or whatever, and you just haven't heard of them, which 5-10 years ago would not be the case. Like because there are fewer creators at the time, if a creator was over 1 million subscribers, you were familiar with their content. You may not like their content, but 9 times out of 10, you've seen a video or you've seen someone talk about one of their videos. But now that that's so common, that's just not the case anymore. And I feel like growing up, Gen Z really used to idolize influencers, and we're much more easily swayed by things that influencers had to say. Not to say that that's not the case anymore and that we're just completely sentient beings that can't be swayed by marketing of any kind. No, but I'd say that it's definitely less common. Like if you think back to the older days of influencing, influencers would have these mass book signings, mass events, concerts even, that would be extremely well attended just because the influencer said to show up. Now, unless you're super culturally relevant, that's just less common because I feel like a lot of times as a fan and as an audience of a creator, there's like less diehard allegiance to show up in that way. And I feel like a contributing factor of that may be that we're just older now. So there's less appeal to that. And we also look at influencers now with a little bit more nuance and critical thought and more realistically. Like I feel like we're a lot more comfortable now holding our faves or holding other influencers accountable for their actions. I argue that sometimes that may even be a little bit overtuned, where it feels like sometimes we go out looking for a problem with a creator's take or opinion, but we definitely look at the media that we consume and the people that we see that media be consumed from more critically. And a lot of that is due to the fact that we want to make sure that the people that are in these spaces and have this platform are able to practice what they preach, which we will come back to talk about later. But regardless of time and regardless of how the culture has shifted around influencers specifically, one thing that has stayed the same, one thing that has remained tried and true as a factor that is essential to any creator, any influencer's growth or ability to cultivate and maintain an audience, is the need for authentic storytelling and connection. And this is a good transition to what I'm talking about when it comes to the convergence from celebrities into influencers. And that might be a crazy thing to say, but let me explain. I think I alluded to this earlier, but I feel like I've been seeing a shift in celebrity culture to become not necessarily one-to-one influencers, but definitely adapting a lot of the practices and strategies of influencers. And I feel like the reason behind that is one, because for a lot of celebrities, the art that they are famous for doing is not solely as profitable anymore. Like for celebrity music artists, music itself has become less and less profitable with the rise of streaming. For actors, acting gigs have become less consistent, and the pay for it for most actors that aren't like superstars doesn't always pay the bills alone, which we've talked about in previous videos. So if you want to see a full video talking about why acting doesn't necessarily pay the bills anymore, you can click the card above to go check that out. So as a result of the traditional forms of art not being as profitable, we've been seeing a lot of celebs create their own brands, businesses, or take on these brand deals, sponsorships, or partnerships to help supplement the funds. And while a good celebrity partnership or ambassadorship has always been a thing when it comes to the life and business behind being a celebrity, I want to say starting in like 2016, we started seeing celebrity partnerships and brands doing similar deals to those that influencers would do. Like my mind immediately races to, I don't know if it was 2016 or 2018, but whenever Sugar Bear hair was popping, you'd see all these influencers and celebrities promoting the same product, doing the same deal. And of course, the pay might be a little different, but putting influencers and celebrities on the same deal, it kind of brings them to a similar level. And yes, I know that's not a one-to-one, but you get what I'm trying to say. And in more recent times, we've seen celebrities that have traditionally been super inaccessible become more accessible with the social media boom. We've been seeing more and more celebrities hop on social media, whether that be to promote their projects, brands, or to just reconnect with their audience. We've seen more of an occupation of celebrities in traditionally influencer-led spaces, and vice versa. And I want to say the second overarching reason why this is the case is because Gen Z has been redefining its relationship with the concept of celebrity. I feel like a large portion of this sentiment really kicked off after 2020 when we were all under lockdown. But Gen Z, by and large, is no longer wanting this larger than life, super luxe, super unattainable, super unaccessible lifestyle. Like, that's no longer the aspiration. Like, people are tired of seeing that, especially in the first couple of years of the 2020s, because life has been so hard for the average person. And people are busting their ass to try and stay afloat while they care about or want to see a celebrity posting about their third vacation or just chilling in their mansion. That creates a distance and turns a lot of Gen Z off because it's no longer relatable. And like I said in the influencer section of this video, a lot of the content that Gen Z supports is relatable, authentic content. So because of this, I feel like we've kind of forced these celebrities to become more accessible for the sake of being able to access us. And I feel like that framing just would never have been the case 20, 30, 40 years ago, because I feel like that whole parasocial relationship was completely flipped. Really successful celebrities and their teams weren't as at the mercy of their audience because they knew that their audience would support regardless because they were a celebrity. But nowadays, that support is not guaranteed. In fact, a lot of times it's fought for because there's so much competing with our attention and our interests. And I feel like celebrities that have gotten this right and were able to really capitalize on Gen Z's need for relatability, authenticness, and unseriousness, were able to really boost their careers off of that. Or people like Doja Cat, who really leveraged a lot of her music on platforms like TikTok to really propel her career into the next level. Lil Nas X, of course, someone whose career was really founded off of the internet. Lizzo, who had a whole career resurgence online after putting out a song that had been years old. And then after the success of that song, continuing to be really authentic and relatable on the internet to really strengthen her fan base. And more recently, artists like Renee Rapp and Ice Spice. And because of the way that these artists are able to use the internet and use what they know that Gen Z loves to see from a celebrity, being really authentic, being what seems to be down to earth and relatable, they were able to see heightened success and loyalty coming from their younger Gen Z audiences. And getting this access to Gen Z and the support from Gen Z has been shown to be important to even the celebrity of these celebrities. Like, the most recent example that really got me thinking about this in my mind was Beyonce. If you didn't know, Beyonce has just recently released a hair care line called Sacred. And Beyonce has notoriously been super behind the scenes, super distant from the general public. Like, you don't see Beyonce just going out very often anymore. And you especially don't see her doing promo. Like, that is one thing about her. She will let the work speak for itself. Like, if you think about her past couple of projects, like Renaissance, there were no music videos for Renaissance. There was barely any promo for Renaissance. And it still became this giant cultural moment. But when it comes to our other brands, the things that could also make a lot of money, as of very recently, we've seen Beyonce actually go out and do some promotion. Like, for her fragrance line, she actually made a video promoting her fragrance. And while that may be a little thing, the internet ate it up because Beyonce doesn't normally do that. Beyonce doesn't normally connect with her audience, and that's a big critique that people have of Beyonce's brand, is that a lot of people, especially younger people, find it hard to support Beyonce's brand because they don't really know anything about her, and a lot of people don't believe that she actually would use the products that she's selling. And I feel like that perspective has shifted even more with her hair care line, because for the first time, I feel like ever, Beyonce actually stepped out and did a promo event inviting influencers and met up and basically had a PR meet and greet with influencers to promote her hair care line. And Beyonce would never normally do that. So by leveraging influencers, people that she knows have an authentic and strong parasocial connection with their audience, she's one, putting them in the same spaces as her, but also showing the impact and importance of appealing to what she knows we will respond well to and would actually influence us to partake in. And while that's all fine and dandy, I kind of want to now talk about how our need for authenticity, in a sense, and entitlement to certain information from our faves has also impacted the state of celebrity. Like, I feel like Gen Z has gotten so used to seeing public figures like influencers be super vulnerable and transparent with their lives online, and have sort of created that as an expectation for people that are held in that similar space. And now I feel like celebrities are also being held to a similar standard, because as we're distancing ourselves from the elusiveness of celebrity, we're also expecting that sort of transparency, since they've been accessing us in similar ways that influencers do. And while this isn't inherently a good or a bad thing, this expectation for vulnerability and authenticity often comes with a level of scrutiny to these celebrities' personal lives, especially their relationships and day-to-day activities, which didn't used to be as widely a case for celebrities back in the day. From what I've been told and what I've heard, a lot of celebs back in the day had their private lives kind of on lock, and the only way that they had their private lives brought to the public is if they wanted certain aspects of their private lives brought to the public, or if paparazzi and blogs would bring it up to the public. And even in those cases, a lot of times celebrities and their teams would be able to pay off those paparazzi and people from getting those stories out. So there was still a form of control in that sense. Whereas nowadays there's less so of that control, and we're sort of entering a stage where instead of them controlling how much we know about them, we are more so in the driver's seat of that, in controlling and demanding what we want to know about these people. There's less overall privacy towards these people's personal lives because we've been starting to view them in a light that's more akin to an influencer. And as we know, our relationship with influencers, we kind of expect that information from them, and we hold them to certain standards because we feel like we know them. And as an everyday person, I feel like celebrities are just more so accessible than ever before, because for one, there's a monetary and social incentive for them to become more accessible and more relatable, but also celebrities have become more okay with just being online. Like whether that be your fave reposting a TikTok that you've made on their story for a promo rollout, them commenting on a random video or tweet, or them acknowledging you on the abundance of live streams that they've been doing nowadays, or just other general social media interactions. Now more than ever, it's a lot more possible and realistic to have your opinion, thoughts, or presence known and acknowledged by these celebrities. And a lot of that is due to algorithms. Like if you've made a TikTok before, because it's so discoverable and available to any and everybody, there is a chance that someone you may look up to, someone you may idolize, has seen your face before, which is crazy to think about and further strays to the traditional sentiment of celebrity. And now to wrap off, I kind of want to go through some pros and cons for all this, because I feel like there is some good and some bad that comes from celebrities being this accessible and all of that. For one, I feel like it's great because one of the main pros why I think it's great is because I feel like it creates this sense of interconnectedness and really humanizes these people that are traditionally meant to seem larger than life and super different from the everyday person. And while yes, there are aspects of these people's lives that are very different from everyday people, seeing them also deal with everyday issues can really have a positive effect on the people that they influence. Like celebrities coming online and being more open and vulnerable about their life mistakes or shortcomings or things that they're going through can really help regular people, especially younger people, deal with and be more accepting of their own things that they have going on. Like especially, and I don't know if this sounds like dark or whatever, I'll say it anyway, but like when celebrities are going through like health conditions and talk about it online, I feel like it's really great because it normalizes that condition. Like I remember recently hearing that like Kim K came online to talk about her psoriasis, which is really common for people, but seeing that like someone as wealthy, privileged, successful as Kim K, who you'd think would have all the resources available to her to like cure and stop this, still going through something that like the everyday person does. Like of course I'm going to acknowledge and not be delusional that I'm sure that she has everything that she needs to deal with that in the best way possible, but still seeing someone that you would believe would have like everything still go through like some sort of human hardship can be nice. And I feel like for other people that have psoriasis, that may be a comforting and normalizing thought to help them manage with their own psoriasis. But I feel like where this goes too far in a con of this is that sometimes we just know too much about these people's lives that we don't necessarily need to. Like whether this be like the stuff that they be getting into, the drama that they be getting into, or we just know too much and we give opinions on things we don't need to know, or when these celebrities just volunteer too much information, like we don't need to know that about you, truly, like have some couth. Like y'all remember Don't Showergate? Like when all those celebrities were coming online to talk about how they only bathe like once a month and don't believe in bathing their kids or bathing themselves or washing their feet or whatever. Like we don't need to be that comfortable. We don't need to know that about you. Maybe pick up a loofah, pick up a rag, and hop in the shower and get a good lather going on. Because like if you're gonna be volunteering that information, you have to be prepared for some very critical advice, because what do you mean you only shower once a week? Dirty. But yeah, I'd say to summarize, due to the way that Gen Z consumes content and the way that we've been brought up around our age of public figures and what we'd consider celebrities, traditional celebrity and the age and art of celebrity has been altered to really cater to us. And in a lot of ways, I feel like we've ended that traditional sense of celebrity because it really doesn't serve or relate to us. And I think it's kind of iconic that we did that. But still, of course, give people their privacy, regardless of who they are. Everyone deserves privacy, as long as they're not like unaliving people or doing something super treacherous. But yeah, that's my take. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about all this? Do you feel like Gen Z has altered the way that celebrity is presented in mainstream media? Or do you think I'm just yapping? Either way, I'm cool. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. Follow me on my socials at Imurgency and leave a like on this video. Other than that, y'all, I've been Imurgency and I will see you in the next video. Peace.